is that seriously it? Like, that's that's what defeats him? So, and the thing is, like, watch it again. You just hear, like, and it's like, it made me laugh out loud. And you're not supposed to be laughing out loud at that part, but, like, what? Annyeonghaseyo, welcome to Afternoona Delight. We're Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi there.
So it's a little sad to see your faces today because you're not in human form.
I know.
I was thinking the same thing.
I can't believe we were together last week. For so short amount of time.
Was it it was a week ago. It feels like it was like a year ago now.
It was literally a week. Yeah, it was a week ago.
It was a whirlwind of a trip.
Can I share how Megan and I met up at the airport?
Yeah, okay.
And the struggle that was meeting up with Megan at the airport.
It's always going to be a struggle meeting up with me.
At least she didn't get on a ferry.
She didn't.
No ferry.
She didn't call it a cruise. So our flights, we're both like texting each other before we even take off because both of our flights are delayed. And Megan's also got a connecting flight. So there's, lots of stuff in the air. But we were meeting at the airport and our plan was, because we're supposed to get in around the same time, and our plan was to ride the BART, which is the public train system in the San Francisco Bay Area, to Oakland. And so with all of our changed flights, we ended up getting into San Francisco, like within 20 minutes of each other. So it was perfect. So I got off my plane first and I texted her and I said, I looked at her flight information. I said, okay, I'm in Terminal 3. You're in Terminal 1. I'm going to take the airport air train to your terminal. Meet me there. Like, meet me at the entrance to the air train at your terminal. She's like, okay. She's like, I don't know what that means because I'm stuck on the plane right now, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. So she finally gets off the plane and she's like, I don't know where to go. I don't see any signs for air train. I'm like, you just follow the crowd. The signs for air train are everywhere. And I'm like,
so I followed.
You did.
I just want to say for the record, I followed the crowd.
But wait.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, I got off the air train and I am in your terminal. I'm in Terminal 1 in departures. I said, so just follow the crowd to like departures, but don't follow them downstairs to baggage claim. Just stay on the floor with departures. And there's one little escalator that goes up to the air train and I'm waiting at the top of it. And so we're going back and forth and she's like, I found an escalator. Wait, no, that's not it. She's like, oh,
because I went down to, well, first I found another escalator and that was like,
I told you not to go down. I know.
Then I accidentally went down to baggage claim. Then I did a little UE and I went back up and I was like, it's fine. I'll find you. Cause that's when I saw the sign for AirTran. I was like, oh, I see the sign. And I did feel like I was in a back hallway of the airport. I was like, where am I?
I never felt that. So I don't know where you went. So I'm waiting inside Terminal 1, Megan's terminal, like at the top of this small escalator where its only destination is the entrance to the air train. And finally she texts, she's like, okay, I'm here. I'm on the platform where it says red train. I'm like, oh, you're up there already? I'm like, I don't know how you got past me. I'm like, okay, stay there. Don't get on the train. I will meet you there. So I have to go like up this ramp. Then I have to go like down an escalator and then back up to the platform where the actual train is. And it was like a scene out of a movie. I get off the escalator on top of the platform and there are 0 people there. Like not one. Definitely not Megan. So I text Megan and I say, okay, what terminal are you in? I don't know. It just says, I said, what does it say on the red sign, on the signs for like the red train? I don't know. It just says international terminal or isn't that what it said? Like international terminal.
Yeah.
I said, okay. I said, you walked from Terminal 1 to the international terminal. I said, because that's the next stop on my train.
I did feel like I was walking really far. And that's why I saw a sign for like Hawaii Air or something. It was.
And she's texting me. She's like, I have leg cramps. I'm like,
I know. I had a cramp.
Been?
I had a full-on cramp from walking.
Megan's like, I'm getting on Korean Air. I don't know what's happening.
It was, so
I'm like, stay where you are. I'm like, I am getting on the next air train. It will come to your stop. I said, stay exactly where you are. Don't get on a train. And so as we pull into the international terminal, AirTrain, I see her standing on the platform, and I'm like waving at her. I'm like, get in here right now.
Get your butt in here. And I was like, yay! I was like celebrating on the AirTrain, and all these people are looking, because, you know, no one is happy at an airport. And so everyone's like looking at me funny, but I'm just like, Amy, I'm so excited.
And then we began our adventure on the BART.
Which, you know, 0 out of 10 stars.
Would not recommend. Sorry, anybody in the Bay Area who enjoys the BART. I don't know who you are, but yeah.
No, yeah, sorry. I like public transportation, but the BART's 2 thumbs down. I'm going to write a Yelp review.
I mean, I don't know if we want to like thread the needle here, but I'd say something that feels tedious, 0 out of 10 stars and 2 thumbs down.
Oh no.
For you.
Only you.
I will say on the BART, when we could talk, because most of the time we could not talk because the BART sounds like a million screaming children. That's so loud.
It literally does. Like, it doesn't, it sounds like something humanly inhuman. Like,
yeah. So we couldn't really talk to each other, but when we could, we talked about Black Knight, which is what we are covering today.
What did you even have to... Okay. I mean, we're about to talk about it for an hour, so...
Leah, remember that there is the sort of like forefront of our podcast is that we don't yuck other people's yums. And you are wanting so bad to yuck our yums here.
Oh, she is so excited. She is basically the Mr. Yuck sticker right now.
I am like... I mean, look, I'm going to... Okay, let's just start.
Okay. I'll just say I was in charge of the script for this one, and I had a lot of fun writing the script, so I hope you all, even if you like absolutely loved Black Knight, which Amy and I enjoyed it for what it was, and Leah did not, but I just hope you'll find humor in some of this. Anyway.
Yeah, laugh through the pain.
Right. So, Black Knight is a 6-episode Netflix drama based on a webcomic, Take Begisa, by Lee Yeon-kyun. Black Knight takes place in 2071 after a comet has decimated the world population and toxic air pollution forces all survivors to wear gas masks. South Korea has been segregated into strict social classes with drastically different living conditions. Citizens rely on a delivery service for supplies like oxygen tanks, and the delivery drivers, known as knights, are highly skilled as they need to protect the parcels from thieves. The most legendary, famous knight is 5'8", played by Kim Woo-bin. He's a former refugee, which is the lowest social class. He works for Cheonmyeong Group, the company who supplies oxygen to the nation, but is secretly plotting with other knights to take down the conglomerate because of their human rights abuses. His plan is complicated when he meets a young refugee who dreams of being a knight, Sewol, played by Kang Yoo-suk.
Kim Woo-bin recently returned to acting after a 6-year hiatus as he battled nasopharyngeal cancer. The role requires him to be a smoker, so in an effort not to compromise his health, all the smoking scenes were created using CGI. The director Cho Ui-suk also suggested using stunt doubles for his action scenes, but our Woo-bin insisted on doing the action scenes himself. All 3 of us can agree on one thing about this drama. Kim Woo-bin and his hair looked amazing in all of his action scenes. Right? Are you okay there, Leah? Okay.
Concur.
Yeah, I mean, his hair looked...
So did his eyebrow. Nobody has brows.
They're the best eyebrows. They're the best.
Best in the biz.
I will say
in the world.
Yeah.
My husband's hair, he has a similar haircut to Kim Woo-bin.
He does.
We saw him. We FaceTimed Neil.
After I had a lot of margaritas.
Yeah, just a slight aside.
Same.
When we were all together, we tailgated it before the concert, the Sugar concert, and we all had a lot of margaritas. We were all in great moods. I mean, I'm telling you right now, we were happy. Like, we were
happy.
We were happy. And it was Leah's anniversary. So happy anniversary. And so she called Nick, and then you guys made me call Neil. It was not my idea. And it was like 9:30.
Because we've never talked to Neil.
Yeah, so we called him, and I just showed everyone his hair. But anyway, so yes.
I think I just screamed that he had great hair over and over annoyingly.
You did, but it was fine. He didn't. I was kind of impressed because it was 9:30 at night, and I knew I could call him and his hair would still look good. Like, because maybe, Neil has
he's Neil.
Kim Woo-bin. Yeah, he's Neil. Anyway, back to the drama. So we're not really going to have a large non-spoiler section for this podcast. First of all, Black Knight is only 6 episodes, okay? And they're less than an hour long each. And second, like, there's really not much to spoil. Like, I gotta be honest, if we told you the whole plot right now, you'd be like, okay. And it wouldn't really change a whole lot. Like, you would still either enjoy or not enjoy the drama regardless of spoilers, in my opinion. Okay. But still, that said, let's get a few big picture questions out of the way. The first one, let's just
put it out there.
Let's put it out there. Did you enjoy the drama?
I did. I thought it was tons of fun to watch on the plane to and from Oakland for our Sugar Fest. And I 100% got what I expected, which was lots of external conflict and action. Like, there was nothing from the trailer that made me think, especially in 6 episodes, that made me expect this was going to get, like, deeply emotional or anything like that. So, yeah, I thought it was fun. Do I think all of it makes sense? Absolutely not. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I also got what I wanted out of it. I knew going in it was 6 episodes, and I also knew it was going to be, like, action heavy, so I didn't necessarily expect tons of emotional attachment. However, was I still hoping, like, for more? Like, was I still hoping for, like, a geniusly plotted and, like, emotionally taxing kind of, like, drama in 6 episodes? Yeah, like, I did want it. But I'm okay with what we got. I would say, like, I was highly entertained. But then I do have, like, a hamster brain that can watch, like, Fast and the Furious and be entertained.
So did I enjoy the drama?
She was like waiting to jump in.
Oh my gosh, she was like, stop talking so I can talk.
Not at all. And I'm going to save my crit mostly for the spoiler section for whatever that's going to be. But look, for me, part of the appeal with stories like this is the idea, look, I love prepping shit. Like, put me in a prepper situation and my hamster brain's engaged. When we had to wait for floor seats for night 2 of the Suga concert after, the group, like, we parted ways and I took to the streets of Oakland to spend most of the night. I was directly involved in the planning of what became known as the beauty bucket, which was trying to figure out a plan for if any of us were going to have to, like, pee on the streets because they weren't resourcing it with, like, porta potties, and having to logistic out how to, like, retain dignity in, like, an undignified situation is, like, my happy place. So I'm saying all this to say that, like, I want to watch stories like this with the idea of, like, what would I do? How would I endure? And the fact that we get very little backstories and the heroes are kind of the larger than life, just amazing, it kind of pops that narrative question for me. And it leaves me where being like, okay, the hero's just a badass and all he does is win, win, win. And, like, that's a thrill, I guess. But for me, it's boring.
I do get
that's
that
fair.
For 100%. Like, yeah,
totally fair. I'm not gonna. This isn't like I don't know. I'm not gonna, like, fight to the death for Black Knight. Is basically what I'm gonna say.
And I'm not going to say that you're dumb if you like it.
Yeah,
I'm grown.
So I did,
Are you
and I did
think it though.
No, I'm not.
I did say to me, Black Knight was like cotton candy. So it was, like, very easily consumable, and it was kind of, like, gone fast, and I also burned through the calories in, like, an hour. And I wanted something more savory and filling. Mm-hmm. I wanted, like, a full steak dinner, and I didn't get it. Is cotton candy great? Like, yeah. So. Okay, so, like all stories, this one definitely took inspiration from others. So what were you reminded of while watching Black Knight? And also, like, any comps for Black Knight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing, Megan, because you and I were talking about this in Oakland. Like, pick something, anything, and I bet it's a comp for Black Knight.
Yeah.
Like, Hunger Games? Yeah. The Lorax? Yeah. Like, it runs the gamut of, like, things that fit in because it was trying to be everything in 6 episodes. And that's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mad Max, and it was kind of, like, billed a little bit as, like, being, like, a Mad Max type society, and, like sure, especially if you've seen the latest Mad Max, Fury Road. I also got, like, Peter Pan vibes, because I felt like they were, like, Lost Boys. Like, there was, like, a Lost Boys situation with, like, Sawwall and his, like, friends, like...
Right, none of them had parents.
No parents, and by the way, their names were Useless, Dum Dum, and Dummy, his friends, which is just, like... what? Anyway.
Sure.
Like, and no reason. Like, we were never given a reason they had these names.
No, but
anyway.
like Dum Dum and Dummy had like the same like Kid and Play haircuts. Like,
Right.
it was hilarious.
I think they were twins.
I
actually
think
didn't
they
look that
were.
up.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I also said it felt a little bit like Robin Hood because 5/8 was a little bit like giving
Yes.
to the poor. And yeah, Hunger Games, obviously the districts, which we never got great explanation for. And then the Lorax. It was so funny too because I was watching it with Neil and it like when the kind of like, we'll explain a little bit more later, but you know, there's a company that provides oxygen and obviously they want to stay in business. So, like, their business is to keep the air quality poor so they can provide oxygen. And I was like, oh my God, that's like, oh my God, like, the one on the ship with all the, like, blobby people. And
Oh my God.
I couldn't
You thought it was Wally?
Wally?
No,
That's
wait,
Wally.
Blobby
Yeah, that's
people's
the Blobby
Wally.
people.
That's Wally,
Oh
not
my
the
God.
Lorax.
You're right. I got him confused.
Wally's about garbage.
Oh my God, you're right. I did get confused. Well, I meant the Lorax. And then, of course, Neil was like, the Lorax. And I was like, yeah. Oh my God, I was thinking of Wally. What is wrong with me? It's not like Wally. Well,
Not at all
I
like
mean-
Wally. I mean,
No,
well,
it kind of is. It's like Earth's fucked.
yeah.
I mean, okay, so I'm not like too far off. But yeah, I was thinking of the blobby people.
That's
I don't
Wally.
know what.
On the ship.
They're just,
You
like,
thought there were blobby
in their
people on a
chairs.
ship in the Lorax?
I don't know what I was yeah, I was like, where am I thinking
No,
that?
Lorax was the short little dude with like the
Yeah.
full cut hair who Mr. O'Hare who didn't want anybody to plant trees because that would make oxygen.
Where am I? Well, I meant the Lorax. In my head, I confused the two. But anyway, okay. So that's the thing. It definitely took inspiration from a lot of other things, which was actually kind of fun because I was like watching it and I would like shout out things that it reminded me of, like like Hunger Games, Robin Hood, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like the Lorax, except who speaks for the trees? 5/8?
Sure.
I mean, sure.
5/8
you had, like,
speaks for the refugees.
You had like the Gramps who was like
Yeah. Okay,
he was
yeah,
like
but
growing.
He was pretty Loraxy. Yeah, he was planting all
Yeah,
the stuff underground.
If Lorax hadn't like fucked everything and then been like, oops, my bad, like let's do it a different way. I mean, I don't know, what's another comp? The 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston.
Please expand.
What?
Just an over the top, bloated, unsatisfying hero fest.
Oh my God, I don't even know if I've ever.
Which
seen
I
the
used to
10
watch
Commandments.
every year because I would play it on like network television
too.
on Easter. I would watch it every year.
I know I can speak large sections. from
Oh, like the
memory.
parting of the Red Sea. Like I can picture it all. Like I watched
And
this
when-
movie yearly as a kid, which
I
is
don't
so
think I've
weird.
ever. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh my God,
What's that
and
from? Like what year? Oh, here, the Ten
like
Commandments.
1960
It's old.
maybe?
Yeah.
I have watched Ben-Hur repeatedly. Does that count?
No.
Kind of
Moses,
the same.
So at one point, Moses is like, you know, because he's like, well, I guess it's not technically incest if you were found in a basket. His adopted sister does want to fuck him, can't, so ends up having to brother fuck.
What?
These are the things that she remembers from the Ten Commandments.
Where did we? I was like, "Are you explaining the Ten Commandments?"
I did not
right now?
internalize that part when I was young.
Of course I did. Oh shit. Okay. Oh my God.
I'm so sorry. I mean,
It's
like,
okay.
There is zero incest that we know of in Black Knight, just so you all know.
Correct.
correct. I mean, he might have had some unexamined feelings for his found sister too, but
His adopted sister.
he didn't get a chance to explore those.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mad Max visually.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, here is a stumper question. Who is hotter, Tom Hardy or Kim Woo-bin?
Don't do that to me.
That's not nice.
I won't. Yeah, I won't.
Mad
I
Max,
won't.
Tom Hardy, or 5'8" Kim Woo-bin? That's like trying to figure out how many licks it takes to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll.
My Instagram bio currently says in an unrequited love affair with Tom Hardy. That's literally what my Instagram bio says.
No, I'm asking you this because you and I, where we diverge is often, and then we unite in very odd particular things like both
Tom Hardy
wanting to fuck Bane from Batman.
Yeah, I love Bane. I love everything I've seen Tom Hardy in.
Yeah, Tom Hardy in every iteration.
Everything.
Even Tom R. Hardy with like grayscale in
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky
when
Blinders.
His face is rotting off. He could get
I don't
it.
care.
Yeah, I'll take it. Just give me the rot.
Do you know what I want to bet?
I
I
will.
bet neither of you have seen Venom.
No.
I've seen a lot of clips.
Nope.
I know.
I really
Even
like,
Tom
I
Hardy
really like
couldn't
him
get
in
me to watch
Venom.
Venom.
He's really
Okay,
fun.
I probably would still choose Tom Hardy just because it's Tom. Like I have loyalty to Tom. I've known Tom longer.
Yeah, I have to sit with it. I mean, like, look, he's just such a weirdo that, that pulls me in. But Kim Bin's eyebrows, I feel like it's like a jungle in there and I could just get lost.
I love the eyebrows. And I mention it later too in the script, but I'll say it now. Like, I love the fact that even when he's like full masked up, that is Kim Bin, and he looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to ponder that. I just entertained myself with that question. I'll be thinking that over. And if anyone has a vote on that one, let us know.
We'll do a poll.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we get into the spoiler-filled section, it's time for our favorite part of every episode, and that is the K-pop rec of the week. And I'm excited about this choice, Megan.
I'm very excited. So, I-DLE is one of my favorite K-pop groups, and I didn't necessarily love their last comeback, but this comeback, I love it. So the song is Queencard by I-DLE, and it is so much fun. So basically, they're saying, like, no matter who you are, what you look like, what you do, like, you're a queen card, meaning, and that kind of means, like, you're the main character. You're the main character. And, like, I love main character energy. Like, yeah, I am the main character of my life, of my story. And so I just adore it. Like, the styling is really fun. They're clearly having a lot of fun this comeback. The girls are. They're, like, all over social media doing their TikToks, and I love it. They feel like main characters, and I'm just cheering them on from the sidelines of their lives, but from the main character of my life.
The main character in me calls out to the main character in you.
Yeah. So I love it. I pre-ordered the albums, and they should be coming soon. I'm very eager because there's a cat version. You know how, like, K-pop albums always have different versions, right? There's like a Queencard version, there's a butterfly version, and there's a cat version. It's just a black cat, and I am stoked. Even though my cat sliced open my toe yesterday. That's it. It's Queencard by I-DLE. Check it out.
If you enjoy our podcast, you have our patrons to thank, at least in part. Afternoona Delight Patreon allows us to keep creating content for y'all to enjoy. Thank you so much to everyone who is supporting us there. And not to brag, but our Patreon community is pretty awesome, and you can join at a tier that feels good to you. Gain access to fun perks like K-drama posts, monthly Patreon-only bonus podcasts, and even a live K-drama support group on Zoom. Because we know firsthand what it's like to have no one to talk to about those crazy plot twists, amazing characters, and all those feelings. And look, no one should have to walk that walk alone. So learn more by visiting afternoonadelight.com. That's www.afternoonadelight.com. And hey, while you're on the website, you can check out Afternoona Delight podcast merch, find links to book recommendations, bop along to our K-pop recs, glow up your skin with K-merch recs, find all of our social media, and a link to our email so you can send us recommendations or feedback. And hey, while you're at it, why don't you pop over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review? It really helps with our discoverability. 감사합니다.
So what kinds of things do you both like to do when you drive?
Pay attention to the road? Is this a trick question?
All right, how about when you fold laundry?
Why am I folding laundry in this scenario?
Read, friends. I was trying to get you to say read.
You could just ask us if we like to read when we drive, or... Wait, how are you reading when you're driving?
with Audible. You know, our sponsor, who is the leading creator and provider of premium audio storytelling, enriching the lives of millions of listeners every day. I listen to audiobooks on my commute to work in the car.
Oh, yeah. I totally do that. I love my Audible subscription.
Then why'd you leave me hanging with the whole driving thing? Forget it. It's not important. What is important is that now our listeners can get a 30-day free trial of Audible Premium Plus from Afternoona Delight. Do you know what they get with that free trial?
Actually, I do. They get 1 audiobook credit, 2 if they are Prime members, which is good for any premium selection, and they get to keep that audiobook.
They also get the whole Audible Plus catalog of podcasts like Afternoona Delight, audiobooks, guided wellness, and Audible originals.
And with the Plus catalog, you can listen all you want, no credits needed.
And Audible sends you a reminder email before your trial ends.
Sounds like a great way to spend 30 days to me, especially if you're heading outside for a walk, have a long commute to work, or just want to hear one of many talented narrators really bring your book to life. All you have to do is go to www.audibletrial.com/afternoona to sign up, and you're ready to download your first listen. Enjoy!
So, this drama packed a lot into 6 episodes, and we all felt like there was a lot of potential if the story had more time to develop. There were designated districts, a group of robot-like terrorists with implants, mutants, human experiments. Basically, like, what did you think was rushed, and what did you want to understand better?
I mean, truly all of it was rushed. No one had a complete backstory, yet I liked the characters enough to want to know what their stories were. Like, we joked that we were just praying that this wasn't going to be the Silent Sea, but look, I can get behind a ridiculous, far-fetched story if I care about the characters. And the Silent Sea... Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Right.
And the Silent Sea, like, to its detriment, does a good job of keeping its audience at a distance. Like, that was one thing that I was thinking about while, you know, I was working on the script last night. I was like, you know what? I think that's one of the biggest things about the Silent Sea. Like, we know nothing about anyone. Like, why the neck tattoo, Gong Yu? Why? But nobody ever told us. Anyway. I digress, but I did get to bring Gong Yu into this episode. The one thing I'll say for Black Knight is that the characters had personality. Like, 5'8" had his model swagger, but was also, like, very cheeky and funny at times. Saul was earnest and loyal. He wore his heart on his sleeve and his mullet like a post-apocalyptic champ. And Isam as Jung Sola was a total badass. I cared about the characters and I wanted to know more, but because I connected with them, they were still a joy to watch, even though all I got was what was on the surface. But, like, what the fuck? Saul has metal for bones, and we never get anything with that. So, yeah, I think the whole entire thing was rushed, but I think we had likable characters, and that's what carried it.
Yeah, I do want to say, you mentioned, this just made me think of this, when you mentioned how Silent Sea kept us at a distance. I will say also the way Black Knight was shot, I think was meant to immerse us in it. To me, it worked. Like, I remember when Solwall first got in his delivery truck as a knight, and the camera, it was almost like a video game. The camera panned around as if we were looking at the truck from his eyes. And I remember thinking, oh, I feel like I'm in a video game, because they were like, this is Solwall's
it was his view,
and you're getting it. It was his view, and I'm always gonna like that. I don't mind like a video game view if it's not overdone, and it wasn't in this. I thought that was like an interesting choice to like be sparing. So I'll say the info dump at the beginning to explain the comet and the districts was like a red flag for me from jump. I disliked them throwing a lot of like kind of rather complicated exposition at us with quick illustrations. I never liked that in books. It's okay to kind of be like, oh, a comet caused air pollution. Okay, but then it also went into like the explanation of the districts, and it came so fast. I even rewound it, and I still wasn't sure I like understood, because it was just a lot at one time without understanding the rest of the world building. And I feel like all of that could have been explained better. Like, I wish they showed, like, the beginning opened up with 5'8" doing his deliveries kind of in each district. Like, show us on his deliveries as he goes to each district so we understand, like, the differences.
Show, don't tell.
Because obviously, exactly. Like, we got a lot of telling right up front, and I was like, ooh, I don't know what's going on. Because even, like, I was watching with Neil, and he was like, what? Like, what? And I was like, I know. I don't know what's going on. So I think most of all, I love the world building in post-apocalyptic. Like, that's what's fascinating to me. And so the fact that, like, the world building wasn't fully explained was, like, a disappointment to me. I wanted to know the differences between the districts and, like, how they were originally divided. Like, how did they decide what people went into what? Like, was it just wealth? That's fine, but, like, explain that to us. And, like, I never understood, like, who were the refugees and, like, what made them refugees? Right. That was never explained. Like, who are these people? Are they just, like, the poor people of society? But that seems, like, a little crazy to me. I don't know. I just needed, like, I needed more. And I just think we needed world building set up in a way that was more digestible and memorable. And probably the worst offender was, like, the last episode.
I
had no idea what was going on, but it was so much fun watching 5'8" like fuck up Cheonmyang and like repel from that like fake sky ceiling. I was just like, why is he dropping? Why are they so dramatic? Why are they dropping from a ceiling and having like an all-out firefight on like the steps of this building? It felt like Money Heist, but I was just like, what is happening? And I also didn't care because I was super entertained by that last episode. I was just like, I'm going with it at this point. I'm just going with it. You know, I would say I did care about the characters. And I absolutely wanted to see the villain fall. Like, I really disliked the villain. So, and the action scenes were enough to keep me going. Keep my hamster brain engaged.
Okay, so look, I mean, I'm just a hater. I can't help it.
It's okay,
I'm a hater,
Leah.
and I don't know. And I mean, it's not the show's. It's definitely not Kim Woo-bin's fault. Let me just be clear, Kim Woo-bin.
Of course, it's never Kim Woo-bin's fault.
Nothing is. No,
nothing is your fault. You're a perfect baby angel. You were great.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole cast was good. And so, I mean, like, is my quibble with like the web, like the comic itself, the show, like, you know, so I can say, look, I had an idea of what it was going to be going into it, but I really got nothing of what I wanted. And I'm not being a hater to hate because I do really like dystopian stories. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about just like, you know, rather than me just like complaining, like kind of just like framing. Cause I mean, like people know dystopian, like, you know, but like to like just kind of like really be like, let's be clear what we're talking about. A dystopian story generally is pretty much any paradigm where things are just pretty fucking dire, like real bad for the average Joe. Mm-hmm. Which is why I like it, because it puts me into like my like activated prepper state of like, oh my God, what would I do? And this is why I've started to embrace the zombie genre as well, because that like dystopian crossover into like a zombie hellscape, you know, not every zombie show works for me, but like I much more appreciate
like Zombie Detective.
Zombie Detective is a no for me. I still need to get through The Last of Us, but like The Last of Us, 100% would I rather watch than The Black Knight, because I feel like, again, it's like regular people. Some of them are extraordinary, but like having to figure out like a pretty freaking shitty situation. So it's engaging to me. And so, you know, what kind of badness is usually happening? It could be like, there's usually like lots of poverty. There's government or corporate oppression. There's public surveillance, you know, heavy military state, lots of conspiracies. And some of my most favorite books are from this genre. So like Orwell's 1984, Huxley's Brave New World, Burgess's Clockwork Orange, Atwood's Handmaid's Tale, Collins' Hunger Games series. Like I love all of those. So first of all, for me, here's where it's a miss. And this is just me just being a bitch, is Comet Schmomet. Because look, what I want this to be is like a climate change cautionary tale.
Yeah.
So
fair.
I am being a spoiled brat, but the fact that like humanity is taken out of the responsibility for their current situation and just made to endure, I was immediately less interested, because I actually expected it to be a post-apocalyptic climate change. I don't know why, but that was just like not knowing anything going into it. I'm like, oh, cool. And then I was like, oh, it's a comet. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so it felt lazier. And then, you know, we have the secret wealthy villain kind of controlling the long game. And I think it would have just been much more interesting if like the haves had like fucked it all up and we're still fucking it up. And given like the evolving nature of our climate crisis, it makes it feel like, to me, the story would have had like immediacy and relevance. And that is like what I want in dystopian. I want it to be allegorical. And to me, this just kind of felt like generic. And so was it nice to look at? Yes. And so was the Silent Sea.
First of all, you're giving a very smart view of this drama, which wasn't a smart drama. And I agree with you there. And like, that is the nature of the dystopian setup. It's supposed to be like, man fucked up, and now look at, the way that they're living kind of thing. And yeah, and that was like, when we compare it to the Lorax does give people the responsibility for the destruction of the environment.
So does WALL-E.
So does WALL-E, even though this is not about WALL-E. Although in the show notes, I'm going to have to put a link to WALL-E so you can see the blobby people on the ship.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, that's a really smart view of it, which Megan and I did not take. and I also think that's okay, too, is that I enjoyed the action and I enjoyed the surface of it. But I 100% agree with you, Leah, that it was lazy storytelling.
I actually forgot to mention this in the script. Should we talk about the vaccines? So
I'm still like kind of confused by the vaccine.
So,
to be perfectly honest,
I don't know if there's I'm curious if there was any sort of like anti-vaccine movement in South Korea. I'm thinking like, no, not to the degree there was in America. So I admit I was like a little triggered by the fact that these vaccine, we're in America right now trying to convince people to vaccinate, and this drama's just like, oh no, the vaccine's killing you. And I was like, no.
But it wasn't the vaccine's killing you because the vaccine is dangerous. It's the vaccine wasn't a vaccine. It wasn't a vaccine.
Wasn't a vaccine.
Well,
I know
that's
that.
The conspiracy that we got here was that.
Well, that's true. That's a conspiracy, right?
A delayed. I mean, like, let's go to your brother. But we have like the idea that like you're going to get injected with something and it's either going to like dysregulate your ability to reproduce, or like it's a time bomb and in 5 years we're all just going to be falling over dead, and then the unvaccinated inherit the earth, which is going to be a bummer for them when we're all still here.
Right.
Yeah, and so I was kind of like, oh god.
Yes.
But I feel like that is looking at it from
a Western view.
I think more specifically even like an
yes.
The United States of America point of view. So I respect that. It was only me watching. I was like, oh, cringe.
Right. To vilify the vaccines.
To vilify the vaccines. But I don't, like, I get, they're allowed to like tell the story they want to tell in a different country. It's fine. I'm just saying from my point of view. Yeah. I was like, oh crap. you know? I mean, it was a good plot point. Like I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting plot point. Although I was kind of like, buddy, you're doing all these like sneaky ways of killing refugees, and I mean, does it matter anymore? Like we all know. I
still don't understand why.
I still don't. I'm like, why do you have this hate? Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to the villain.
Yeah, I don't understand the why. That's really the thing for me, because it seemed to be like, well, we can't save everybody, so let's get rid of this handful.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay, but let's talk about our precious boy Sawwall. So he's a refugee who was rescued by a high-level military leader and adopted into her home because this is a K-drama, and that's what we do. He also is, drumroll, a mutant with metal bones and amazing healing powers. How old was he supposed to be in this drama? Like, was he supposed to be 14 or 30? Who knows? But Kang Yu-suk is almost 30 in real life, so that's a win for us Afternoonas. Also, shout out to his friends, Useless, Dum Dum, and Dummy. So basically, did you like Sawwall's storyline, and what scene of his did you like the most?
I love the names Useless, like we already talked about. I love the names Useless, Dum Dum, and Dummy. And I love the characters too. Like they were a wonderful little like found family. And I did like Sawwall's storyline, but I definitely needed to know more about him. Like, was he born a mutant? Was he experimented on like Wolverine? Is he a robot in a skin suit? Like I'm asking the hard-hitting questions that the drama doesn't answer. But still, he was charming. He was hot. I can say that, right? We said almost 30. Yeah. And he was an earnest little goober, too. Like, I loved every time he was on screen. But I think one of my favorites was when he and his friends are able to hop onto 5/8's truck. This is before he's training to be, like, a delivery man. They're able to hop on a 5/8's truck, the legendary 5/8, while it's moving. And 5/8 swerves, like, all over the place because there's no roads. It's just a big sand wasteland. I don't understand how they know where they're going, but it's a big sandy wasteland. And he swerves all over the place to knock them off, and everybody falls off except Sawwall. And Sawwall's like...
he electrocutes them.
He does do that, too. He does electrocute them as well. Yes, I forgot about that part.
His car is like it's a
James
taser. Bond car.
It's a taser. But Sawwall hangs on, and he actually maneuvers his way into the passenger seat, and he challenges the legendary 5'8" to a fight, because that's what Saul does. He just fights people. I don't really understand why, because he doesn't know he's a mutant, but he does know that for whatever reason he wins all the fights.
And the fighting was,
he gets hit in the head with a bat. Like, yeah, I don't.
After he got shot in the head, he gets hit in the head with a bat.
Yes, because he has a metal
skull.
Yeah.
Oh my
but
God.
Like, okay, I was shot in the head. Now I'm hit in the head. Yeah.
So I know, like, it's ridiculous. It is. But like, back to the truck for a second. Like, the camera cuts to a shot of the truck from behind, and a door opening, and 5'8" basically just pushes him out and drives away. And I liked the setting up of their like little like mentor-mentee sort of situation there. It was cute. But yeah, the fighting made no sense. Why does he want to fight 5'8"? What does that prove if he fights 5'8"? And we see later when he like starts to train and his first time in the ring, first of all, wearing like all his rags, like all the layers.
Take off one of your 3 jackets, please.
Yes. And he's like no match for 5'8". So
oh, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, who can be a match for 5'8"?
No one.
That's the whole point. Nothing is a match for 5'8".
I know.
He just is.
Right. So Amy, this is one of the things we talked about in between the screaming children on the BART, is Amy was like, well, maybe 5'8's a mutant. And I'm like, that would be a really cool twist. Did that twist ever come?
No.
Yeah, and also I just want to say, he has a metal skull, but he doesn't have a metal brain. Like, his brain is like getting rattled around.
I don't understand.
Skull.
I don't understand how he's made of metal on the inside. Like, the whole mutant thing is never. They were minors' children. That's the only explanation, is that they were minors' children.
Yeah, and Neil had like so many questions, and I was like, can you just not ask questions right now? Can you just go with it, please? So yeah, look, I love Soul. I really did enjoy him. Did I want more for his character? Absolutely. Like, he had limitless potential, and like in 6 episodes I already cared for him, so like I'm sure in 12 episodes I would have loved him more. I definitely, like, that's the thing, I wish we would have seen him more in his status quo longer, before like his entire world was blown up, you know, like when, you know, his like sister sort of was shot. Like, I wanted to see a little bit more development of her other than she exists to get shot. You know, like, right. The whole thing was just too quick. But I'm always down for, like, a scrappy underdog trying to better his life and, like, the lives of those he cares about. And that was Sowal. And, you know, they even gave him a Save the Cat moment. So Sowal is participating in a contest to be a delivery driver, like 5'8". One aspect of the contest is basically this, like, death race, as we'll talk about it a little bit more later. They're given cars, and they must make a delivery. They must deliver a package through, like, the maze of this, like, destroyed city while being hunted by convicted thieves. And look, like, people died. This wasn't, like, a fun race with toy guns.
Like convicted thieves who get let out of prison for this game.
And who are actually trying to kill the, like, contest participants.
And they're allowed to kill them instead. Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a moment where Sowal risks his life to go and save another delivery driver, therefore, like, compromising his chance to win. So I was like, the drama was, like, trying. Like, I was like, I appreciate, but, like, we all knew he was going to go back. I feel like that almost wasn't necessary because we knew he was that kind of person. Like, they'd already established that. Does that make sense?
I get it.
Usually a Save the Cat moment that we've talked about before is, like, really early on.
I was going to say, it's because it happened so late. Like, I really like that scene, and I even think I talk about it later in the script. Like, I like that scene a lot, but you're right. Like, where it happens, there was no doubt. Like, everybody who's, like, you know, when 5'8's, like, watching him, he's like, don't go back. And we're like, of course, like, yeah,
of course he's going to go back. Like, usually a Save the Cat moment is, like, early on to establish character, not when you already know what he's going to do. So, but, I mean, I'll talk more. I mean, I will say, like, his acting, I love. Like, I cannot wait to see him in more. I now heard that he was in... Before this, he was in the BL Light on Me, which our Patreons have said is great. So I will now go back and watch it. I didn't realize that. And so, yeah, I'm stoked for him because now he's kind of in with Netflix. So, like, go boy. Like, I can't wait to see what else you do.
And I forgot to mention really quick that my character comp for him, like I told Megan, I'm like, I feel about him almost like I feel about Chung-san from All of Us Are Dead. Like, it's a similar type of personality, a similar type of just... Like, sort of like magnetism that you just like him immediately.
Yeah. All of Us Are Dead was a better drama, but...
100% a better drama. Yes.
Yeah. And was allegorical and wonderful. I mean, like,
so
actually, there is a great comp. If you want to see
A short
like,
drama.
I mean, like,
do it right.
It's a zombie, but it's dystopian. I mean, dystopian zombie, like, there's a lot of crossover between those two. But yeah, do they get it right? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't have a lot to add. I'm not going to come for him. I liked him. So basically what I'm going to say is I felt like he was the main character for me, and I wish the movie was just built around him more.
Yeah.
And I wanted like more internal growth, more backstory. I mean, I could have lived even with like 5'8" being just like hot and one note and awesome if like we had a lot more layered development into Sawol's character.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so 5'8" always has great hair, doesn't look at explosions, and never runs. I swear to God, I think he only ran once or twice. 5'8" is on 5'8" time. So what did you like most about Kim Woo-bin's performance? Obviously, like we talked about this a little bit, but did you want more of a backstory for him? And did you have a favorite scene of his?
Yeah, I mean, I came to this drama to see my Choi Young-do from Heirs get to be the hero he was born to be. And that's what I got. Like, yeah, nothing ever went. I mean, everything goes wrong for him in the other dramas that I've seen him in. I know I still need to watch Our Blues, Leah, so help me, don't say it.
Okay.
But I mean, like, Uncontrollably Fond and Heirs, like, things do not end up well for him. And I'm glad that they did here. So maybe that's what made it, more okay with me that, like, nothing bad ever happens to 5'8". But, yes. So Kim Woo-bin and his beautiful eyebrows were perfect as 5'8". I want a whole 5'8" backstory drama, though. Like, 16 episodes, so we get to see how he went from long-haired rebel refugee to the legendary delivery man that he is today. As for my favorite scene, I'm gonna be a little bit basic here, and I kind of have already mentioned it. Just anytime he's in full delivery man uniform. Mm-hmm. And not that I want to cover that beautiful face, but I love that when he is in his mask and has his baseball hat on, he is still unmistakably Kim Woo-bin because of those eyebrows.
I mean, I have to agree. I love when he was just, like, striding around in his, like, trench coat type thing. He also looked really good when he was, like, fighting Sawol, and he had that, like a
Henley
hat on.
He was
his,
wearing,
like,
a Henley.
I was like, okay, I know. I loved him. And I will agree. Look, they gave us a backstory, but I felt like I was being told his backstory.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I felt like they were like, okay, we need to give him some motivation. Let's throw this in
it's
right
like
here.
a couple of flashbacks.
It's like a couple flashbacks, and it just wasn't like, it just wasn't enough. Like, it wasn't enough. I felt like I was being told rather than shown, and that's always going to be. But I mean, that's like what the drama did. That just told us a lot of stuff, and then showed us explosions.
Yeah, I mean, like, is he hot? I think we've established, yes. Can he smolder? Also, yes. But the thing is that, like, Kim Woo-bin is an amazing actor.
Yeah, he was wasted here.
Wasted. And so, I've been mean about Heirs in the past. I don't dislike Heirs. I did say I hated it once when I was being mean. I don't hate it.
You said you hated Heirs once?
Yeah, I said it to Becky when she was here visiting.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that.
But I was being facetious. I said it was bad. And
right.
I mean, I get mad about Heirs, but for different reasons. But here's what wasn't bad in Heirs was Kim Woo-bin.
That's the reason I loved Heirs, was him.
A 10 out of 10. I mean, a 20 out of 10.
Yes.
30, 40, 100 out of 10. One of the best characters in K-drama history, I will say.
Yeah.
And I have not watched Uncontrollably Fond, nor will I. And I thought his character was like less rich in Our Blues, but he did a great job playing it. And he does a good job playing this too. It's just that, like, he would do a good job if they'd been like, and we really want to have this be like a very, like, more layered, interesting performance. Like, he would have delivered.
Yeah.
He did the job he was meant to do, though, which is don't look at explosions and like, drive your car real fast. Mm-hmm. And he does. And I don't love cars getting driven real fast, but he looks really fucking good doing it.
He did. Okay, so as we said, this drama was a lot of action all the time. So much punching. We got a car death race. We got a full room fist fight, which was madness. Lots of gunfire. So, yeah, what was your favorite action scene?
So, you already mentioned, like, the save the cat moment that Sawol has in the death race, but I'll say, like, as far as favorite action scenes, like, the death race was my favorite action scene. Like, there was zero reason for it. I mean, the whole point is for, like, because to be a delivery man, it's a contest. And the whole point of it, I mean, there is a reason. The whole point is to prove that you can get the package to where it needs to be. But, like, normally, they're not going to unleash, like, current convicts on you while you're doing it. Like,
and supply supply them.
And supply them with
like,
supply
I
them.
questions to like who like is like, okay, it's time to like set up the scenario.
Yeah.
It was
Let's just
ridiculous, but it was super fun to watch, and I enjoyed watching it. And so we'll get to have his little hero moment, but again, like Megan said, like we knew that he was going to go back for her anyway, but I just enjoyed that whole scene. Zero reason for it, enjoyed every minute of it. And maybe that's that's the sort of Michael Bay-ness of it, right? Is that like didn't have to happen, but it did happen, and I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, it was like that very typical, like, of course, our main character is avoiding obstacles, but like other cars are like flipping over behind him. There's like fire. Again, I mentioned, in a land where like oxygen is depleted, fire is just running. I mean, fires are doing great. So they're just sucking up all the oxygen, apparently. So, okay, I will say the end of episode 4 is where I started to go, oh, okay, like, I think it was the end of episode 4. It was either 4 or 5, but where I was like, oh, maybe this drama, because I was still enjoying it, but I was like wanting more, and I was like, so as part of the contest, Solwall he's in the finals with one other guy, and he's got to fight which another thing too, I was like, he already fought a room full of people, and now you're just making him go like hand-to-hand combat with some other guy. Like, isn't there another test? Like, I was hoping for something a little bit more creative than just fight this guy in a ring. I was like, okay, fine, whatever, fine. So. Oh God, I don't even know how to explain. I don't really want to explain the whole plot, but basically they are broadcasting this fight to different areas of like the refugee camps. And the whole point is they have like big trucks and they want to consolidate all the refugees, and then the plan for Chanmyang Group is to eliminate these refugees by
exploding them,
essentially exploding them, because again, more explosions.
It's not funny. It's not funny. Like,
no, it's not funny at all because it actually happens. I was like, 5/8's going to save them. No, they all fucking explode into pieces. So, but it was a very dramatic scene because it was like a bunch of people are losing their lives. And Solwall doesn't know because he's fighting, and he wins. And so at the end of I will admit, the end of the episode to me was a banger, and I was so excited. The next 2 episodes didn't deliver what I wanted, but like, I will tell you at the end of this episode, I had hope. So the explosions go off, and a lot of refugees lose their lives. 5/8 cannot get there in time, obviously, to all these different locations and save them. But Solwall wins his fight, and he has a cut on his head. And he's wearing like a bandage, and he's so, happy that he wins the fight, and he's all bloody, and he rips off the bandage, and you can see the glint of the metal on his skull. And basically, like, the villain who we're going to get to next, like, sits up because he's been looking for these mutants this like whole time. And he sits up and he's like, oh my God, I found him. But meanwhile, you're flashing to 5/8 walking among like the ruins of these like refugee camps who have all been blown up. So it's like this like high and low. And I was like, this is great. Oh my God. I was like, these next 2 episodes are going to be fucking amazing. And then it was, they just kind of like, it didn't follow through as what I would have liked. It's fine. I just want to say, as actions, like, I loved that. I loved ripping off his bandage, seeing the glint of the metal. I gasped. I loved that.
I was going to say, it's a really good artistic juxtaposition to have this, like, super high moment for him while all these refugees, like, are dying.
So, because I felt this, like, 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 I had, like, conflicting feelings in my chest. Like, I was moved by that. And I really, really, I liked it. It's just, again, I almost wish, like, the drama, like, stopped. I almost wish we were, like, doing the podcast now on that cliffhanger. So I could be like, oh, my God, I can't wait to see what comes next.
Oh, you would have considered that a cliffhanger?
Oh, be quiet. I knew you were going to say it.
See, and this is where, like, for once, I don't think the length was a confused length. I almost feel like this would have been better served as a movie. And really, like, if you're going to go full action, like, hone out a lot of that different stuff. And, like, I honestly think it would have been more successful as just a movie at this point. Like, either they had to make it longer or they had to, like, pare this down and just give a good movie.
That's fair.
But I want to say something because it made me laugh because I mostly just liked hot driving, I guess. I mean, like, look, I don't know. What action scene did I like best? Like, the fighting one? I don't know. But I found an article that I really liked their take on it, and it was from Salon. and it was by journalist or TV critic Melanie McFarland. And the title of it is "In Black Knight, the Future, However Grim, Belongs to the Working Class Heroes." And they had a point that I thought was like, I enjoyed this point. And so basically it's kind of like also looking at this because looking at this as like a post-COVID story, right? And they call it like a pandemic era fury. I'm just going to read like 2 parts of these paragraphs. So we all went through the same crawling nightmare that froze the world in shelter at home mode for years. Many of us came to view certain global conglomerates as go-to suppliers and the people bringing us their packages as essential workers. As the COVID crisis eased, the burdens shouldered by these gig workers did not, and we went back to taking them for granted. Americans no longer appreciate DoorDash drivers and the UPS guys like we used to. But Cho transforms them into saviors and vigilantes for justice. Everyone deserves to be celebrated by way of a power fantasy. So it's not tough to love these stand-in for delivery app warriors who you should probably tip more generously.
I love that. You know what? I love that take. I'm kind of sad I didn't think about that. I do still tip my delivery drivers like crazy. I just want to say, because I love them. Hey, Amy and I in our Oakland hotel Uber Eated Starbucks, and we were so freaking grateful. I was like dying for an iced coffee, and we got it, and we were very appreciative. I tell you what. So yeah, I just gotta say I love that take.
Yeah. So when I was thinking,
she's right.
So that
appreciate your drivers,
with the drivers, and I like the idea that like people are stuck, and these guys are going to like show up. Like give the delivery driver being a hero. Like this is why I think like there could have been so much good. There's so much. Good.
Agree.
I agree. Because they did show glimpses of that where like 5'8", one of his first deliveries was to like this older man who like hadn't ordered oxygen in time, and 5'8" clearly knew him and was like, you need to order your oxygen on time. Yeah, I love that, but we didn't get enough of that, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so Song Sung-hyun, played by Ryo Suk, the baddie heir to Changmyeon Group, who both wanted to rule the world, had a hatred for refugees, and was also dying of a mystery illness. He might be a hottie, but he was a terrible person. Pour one out for Ryo Suk, who died because Sewol woke up from his stupor long enough to move his wheelchair 5 inches. Look, you had to be there. Anyway, what did we think of this baddie and his motives?
Look, he was hot, all right? That was really, that's really all that he had going for him. Okay?
Yeah.
He's basically Mr. O'Hare from the Lorax. Okay, he's not a blobby person from Wall-E, but he's Mr. O'Hare from the Lorax. More concerned with making money selling oxygen than he is about his mystery illness for which he's experimenting on mutants to, get a cure? He's dying, but he's also polluting the air so people think they need to buy his oxygen? Like, I don't get it. As villains go, he was more of a dum-dum than dum-dum. And Danny DeVito needs to float down from the sky as the Lorax and give him a good talking to.
Well, I didn't get what Danny DeVito had to do with it. I forgot he was the Lorax.
I haven't seen the movie The Lorax.
Oh, it's so good.
It's actually really good. Like the newer one, like the 2000s.
Yeah,
because there's one that's older too.
With what's his face?
We've read the book. I mean, we have the book, but that's all I know.
So yeah, the movie it's got Taylor Swift and Zac Efron as the main characters.
How are there this many characters? He's just the Lorax and he speaks for the trees.
No, Ed Helms is the Onceler, and yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's a cartoon, but
yeah,
it's
really
honestly,
well done. It's really well done.
I've watched it several times. I love it. I think it's really good.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, again, his why did he hate the refugees? He just hated poor people? Like, is that what we're going with now?
There's no explanation for any of it, including his mystery illness that can somehow be saved by a metal skeleton mutant. I don't.
Like, did a refugee kill his dog? Like, we don't know. I mean, the human experiments was they made him so evil. Remember when he had a whole pod of like human experiments, and at one point he's just in a bad mood, so he
over-oxygenates. He over-oxygenates.
And the guy dies, and he's just like, take this one out. Like, I'm like,
there's no reason. And they're all in these little pods like the freaking Matrix. Like, so there's another movie that they're trying to emulate. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I agree. I mean, it was great in like a silly, over-the-top villain kind of way, but he really was like almost a caricature of a villain because he was just so bad.
Dumb.
Okay, so the ending was a lot. After finding out that Sewol was a mutant and could heal his mystery illness, Ryo Suk captures him and uses him as a blood bag, a la Mad Max, which I couldn't stop with that. That's what Neil, he was just like, oh, he's got his blood bag. He's carting his blood bag around. Just like, I kept expecting him to strap him on the front of his car like Mad Max. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Anyway, but wait, 5-8 and his knights are ready for the final showdown and descend on Cheonmyang in a very dramatic fashion. There is a firefight! And Ryo-suk, defeated, decides that if he's going out, he's taking everyone with him. So he destroys the air core, which is what produces oxygen for the nation, with one push of a lever, which seems way too easy to do. Neil was like, there's no fail-safe measures? He was like so mad about that. Anyway. So 5-8 kills the villain, and then he drags everyone to safety while the building blows up behind him. He, of course, doesn't look back at the explosion. So what did you think of the ending?
I know you won't get this reference, Megan, but I'm going to use it anyway. So basically, Cheonmyang is the Death Star, and it can be defeated if you get it in just the right spot. Okay? But here's my question. I actually know, in real life, does anything actually have a catastrophic kill switch that doesn't require two people to, turn a key on two different consoles that couldn't be reached by only one human unless you're Joyce Byers?
Joyce Byers. I forgot that same thing happened.
But she did it.
Okay, good.
Little tiny Winona Ryder could reach both keys. But it's in so many movies and stuff. That
it is.
All it does is make me wonder, does something like that really exist in real life? Like a big old kill switch that's gonna ruin the whole society or world or whatever it is.
Oh, it's ludicrous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So look, Neil was falling asleep on the last episode, and I was like, hit him. I was like, "Are you not entertained? Like Gladiator?" Because I was massively entertained by this. Yeah,
Gladiator. Don't even put Gladiator.
No. I'm saying
yes. No, I get it. I
was just quoting
for a second. I was like, wait.
I was just quoting it.
Yeah.
No, excuse me. Gladiator is a masterpiece. Anyway, so because they're propelling down, the whole thing was a lot, and the air core blowing up. I mean, it was just. I was entertained, but I will say the wheelchair part. I just need to talk about this for 2 seconds. I hated that.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was dumb.
It was so stupid. So they're in the control room, I guess. So it's 5-8, Ryo-suk, and Sewol. And Sewol's unconscious in a wheelchair because he's been used as a blood bag. And Ryo-suk's gonna shoot 5-8, I guess. I think that's what's going on. I don't know. And Sewol isn't obviously, why would you give him an electric wheelchair to be?
I mean,
I can't. Anyway, he somehow wakes up long enough to just move the lever on the wheelchair, and you just hear the wheelchair going and it just moves Ryo-suk's hand just long enough so that 5-8 can shoot him. And I was like, is that seriously it? That's what defeats him? So, and the thing is, watch it again. You just hear and it's it made me laugh out loud, and you're not supposed to be laughing out loud at that part, but why?
He has a metal frame. He should have stood up and taken the bullet for 5-8.
Oh my God, I can't. Anyway. The whole thing was it was so stupid. And then also, I don't understand how they still have oxygen. Didn't you blow up the air core? Because then they flash forward 3 years.
I don't know what happened.
And they're still making deliveries, and I'm like, but where are you getting the oxygen? Because didn't you blow up the oxygen provider machine?
They blew it up. So that was the place that was contained inside a dome. So they blew it up.
But I thought that's what was creating the oxygen for everyone else.
I have no idea. But because everybody else was using gas masks.
They had lunar air.
But remember, the air is getting better. They make that comment at the end. The air's getting
lunar
better
air.
every day.
Look, all I'll say is this. My bar was the Silent Sea, which was an extremely low bar. I enjoyed this 100 times more than the Silent Sea. So if that tells you something, I don't know. Just going to say that.
Silent Sea wasn't good either.
Right.
But I think I enjoyed Silent Sea more. I mean, I would rather have had like lunar water spraying out of the mouth than the hardest working Red Sea Star. At least I was like curious. I'm like, where is it going? And in the end, I was like, oh, it went to go and use light blinking out on the moon. Oh God, I spoiled it. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I think
honestly,
we spoiled Silent Sea more than once on different episodes.
I mean, we spoiled the Lorax too.
So yeah, look, I was unmoved and glad it was over.
Yeah.
And I'm annoyed because I feel like even when you read the pitch at the beginning, I found myself like listening again, like when you were doing the intro, being like, oh, it's a good concept.
Oh,
like
it's
I would
great.
pick this book up.
Yeah.
It's just that I feel like the execution was generic and good at the end, good prevails and, you know, better days are coming. And so like yawn. So this should have been a 10 out of 10. And for me, it was like a 3 out of 10. But Kim Woo-bin, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right. I will say for me, I am interested to read the webcomics because I'm curious if like they're a lot more in depth and, you know, I'm curious. It did make me want to read them. So.
But can Netflix just not fucking disappoint us?
Right?
I know.
Come on. If they're going to invest, this is the thing. Like, they announced recently they're investing all this money in K Entertainment, and, like, good. I'm glad. But then, like, be willing to
invest in the time and the resources to let them tell the whole story.
Yeah. Like, don't just give us K Entertainment for the sake of giving us K Entertainment. Like, we want the proper, good storytelling that K Entertainment has been giving us. So, like, give them the money and the time to do it, basically. Come on, Netflix. Look, people like it when we didn't heavily disagree, though.
No, we didn't.
It's just like if you were happy to be like, look, I just want some cotton candy and it's fine. Like, I mean, I wasn't watching it like enraged. I was just like, oh, like, but like I wasn't super upset because it was like short. If it was 20 episodes of that, I'd be upset.
I think that we would have felt differently too if there was 20 episodes and that.
But it's rare I would want a movie because usually I like a show better than a movie. And in this, I was like, this could have just been a movie to me.
You know what? I actually think you're right. I actually think they could have put it in a movie. And I would have also cared less about like the info dump at the beginning if it was a movie. Because you're like, that's a little bit more common in movies. But if you're going to give me 6 episodes, like you have time to like explain this a little bit better.
You can do your exposition.
You have more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can show, not tell, please. So,
all right.
That's it. Well, that was fun.
It was really fun.
Hopefully Netflix has better days for us ahead.
I hope
Hire us, Netflix.
I know. And I enjoyed Squid Game for what it's worth, but like now I'm like Squid Game 2. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was very unnecessary to do a Squid Game 2.
Yeah, I still don't know. Yeah, All of Us Are Dead 2, though.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean,
better not.
In my definitely my top 10.
Yeah.
Sometimes my top 5.
I actually saw our lovely Chung-san just recently posted some stuff on his Instagram where he's clearly wearing like a school uniform and he's bloody. So I think they might. I know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we can't spoil it.
I guess we can't spoil it. Whatever.
No. Okay.
If you're still a fan of this podcast and haven't watched All of Us Are Dead,
go watch it.
At least read the synopsis.
Yeah.
You don't even have to go read, or you don't have to go watch Black Knight. Go watch All of Us Are Dead.
Yeah, and or just read a synopsis so you know what we're talking about because it's great. So,
all right.
Okay. Well, that's all for today then, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, annyeong.
Kamsahamnida. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!